Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Single Parent Nation podcast. Today, we have an incredible guest joining us, Mr. Felix, with a 30-year retired Sergeant First Class who has dedicated his life to service and is now navigating the journey of single parenthood while raising his 15-year-old daughter. Beyond his military career, he is a man of passion. He enjoys cooking, and I have tried it before, writing poetry, staying fit, and exploring the world through travel. In this episode, we're diving into his experiences as the challenges and rewards of parenting and how he balances discipline, creativity, and adventure in his life. Get ready for an inspiring and insightful conversation. Welcome, Felix. How are you?
Good evening, good evening. I'm just fine. How about yourself?
I am better than amazing.
Good, good.
Great. Um, I just wanted to talk to you about your single parenting. So you're a single dad of one daughter, right?
That's correct.
A 15-year-old. How is it 15 raising a 15-year-old girl? Teen.
It's challenging. It's exciting. I wouldn't have known it before I started doing it, but it's also enjoyable, you know.
Mhm.
So thus far, I'm enjoying it overall.
Okay. That's great. What has been the most challenging part of being a single parent, and how did you overcome that?
Well, for me, the biggest thing, my biggest challenge of being a single parent was the lack of co-parenting, unfortunately.
Mm,
Often too many times, it's reversed. The mother has the child and the father is distant in the child's life.
right.
Unfortunately for me and my daughter, it's just the opposite. This is something my daughter wanted because she felt, as in her words, she can be her best self if she stayed under my supervision.
Hmm.
Um, that's the decision the teenager made, but it seems like there's a grudge, so to speak, because
Mhm.
the decision was made by an independent, the young lady. And so with that, I'm the sole guardian. I'm the sole financial guy. I'm the sole, everything, which, I don't mind, but that has been my biggest challenge. And how I overcome it is, or how I'm beginning to overcome it with it is basically communication with my daughter. That's my biggest thing. I will stress throughout this entire podcast the importance of communication. When she expresses her feelings of, mom not being there, um, not me, I have nothing negative to say about mom. I just tell my daughter that her feelings matter, and give her an opportunity to express what she feels, but also let her know that it's don't dwell on it. You know what I mean? You can put
Mhm.
yourself in a rut at an early age by wondering why this is happening. What did I do wrong? You did nothing wrong, and I definitely want to I continue to keep an open line of communication for my daughter and I. And for a brief moment, I put us in a counseling,
Mhm.
explaining to a counselor what the situation was. And we did that for a good little while. The counselor got to the point where she felt like me and my daughter had progressed, reached a certain level. And so we terminated that counseling and just continued to build this dad and daughter bond.
Okay. How did that work out? Did you think it helped?
Yeah, it definitely helped. Um, Theoretically, I would like to say my daughter was, I want to put it, her growth was stunted a little bit. She has a younger brother, and she wasn't allowed to branch out to do things her age. So even with that, she was very soft spoken, didn't want to speak her mind, whether it was fear or feeling like she didn't have a voice. But I would also instill in her, even before she stayed with me, that you have a voice. Your feelings do matter. Don't get so caught up in the fact that you're a child and there's a parent and you can't voice your opinion. Of course, respectfully, but speak up. And since the counseling and such, she has definitely grown into a person that will speak her mind. explains things eloquently to where you can understand. She communicates awesome.
Okay, amazing. I'm glad it worked out for you.
Yes.
How do you handle discipline and boundaries as a single parent?
Uh, discipline, discipline, discipline. I started it off by giving her my spiel on what is expected of her,
Mhm.
which was the things you must do. You must go to school. You must get your education. Take care of the things you're supposed to take care of. That's most important. Even if that meant coming home and have a minimal amount of chores to ensure you get your homework done. That's the first priority. And just to let her know, once again, open door policy with dad. I'd rather you come talk to me as soon as you mess up versus me having to find something out. You're
Mhm.
growing, we all know we're in 2025 right now. So the way we grew up is almost totally different. So I want you to come to me. I expressed to her that I'm your father first, you know, with a hint of friend. And I don't want her to get that misconstrued. I'm not your buddy, but I'm your father, and I'm going to protect you. So with the discipline, I just, like I let her know, there's a price to pay for your decisions. If you make the wrong decision, whether it be, I don't know, sneaking out, want to have sex, this and the other, all of the possibilities, you got to weigh these options. And so instilling that in her, fortunately for me, I haven't had the biggest things to arise to have to be a huge disciplinarian. Um, but I do feel like the way I've come at her, being a father raising a daughter, I gave her an option to see that, hey, I don't need to sneak. I don't need to lie. I don't need to do these things. My daughter's gonna remember, my dad is gonna support me in whatever I do. He's gonna reward me for doing well. I mean, I'm military. He's gonna jump on me if I do wrong. And she weighs her options. You know what I mean? It's like, which side of dad would you want to see most? And I
Mhm.
think she made a constant decision to realize, you know what, if I just do what I'm supposed to do and stay at the level that I'm on, a 15-year-old, I have no issues. And so we talk about it. We do a check-in every week, whether we're riding in the car, go out and have dinner, we say, okay, check-in time. And I check her
Mhm.
mind, see what she's going, hey, is there any little boy in the picture? Do you have any more friends, female friends? I'm not gonna dig deep into it, but make sure you consider your friends. Hey, if this person decides they want to drink and drug and sneak out, you may not want to ask me, can you go to a place they're going to be, because you may be prone to do it.
Mhm.
That has worked for me thus far.
I like that though, that you told her I'm your dad first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that. For me, growing up, my parents got divorced and then they co-parented. For me, it was, I mean, like you said, 2025 is different from the 90s.
Yeah.
Like it was zero tolerance, and my dad was just
Right. Right.
very raw. And that's how I'm with my kids. So I honestly don't have a problem with my kids.
Exactly.
Like bad problems, knock on wood.
Right. Right.
Yeah, what's one proud moment though you've experienced with your daughter, and how did that make you feel?
The most recent proud moment, I have her in a program called the Empower Her program. It was sponsored by the Martin Luther King Center. It's for girls, I want to say from the age of 8. I'm sorry. Yeah, 8 to 18 or something like that. But it was geared to girls. And one thing about my daughter is I ask her about things. I don't force her to join stuff. Let her read the thing. So anyway, she joined, and I didn't realize it was 2 phases. Well, after the first phase, they have a big, elegant graduation. They buy them dresses and high heel shoes and all this good stuff. So once again, my daughter kind of soft spoken, and but as I'm sitting at the parent table, I'm telling a lady sitting next to me, because as they're saying, if anybody wants to come talk, you can come talk. And I was just like, that's my daughter there. I said, yeah, she has nothing to say. And no sooner than I said that, I'm looking, I see her push her chair back. She gets up. So now I'm looking like, what is she doing? She goes around and she gets the mic and she talks on this microphone. She's saying, when I joined this Empower Her, I didn't know what to expect. She went into this little deal about it, and now I'm networking. I'm meeting some other girls, and da 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 da. And my dad said this, that, and the other, and me, soldier guy, here I am with tears coming down my eyes, looking around like loud while smiling, but a lady bumped me and gave me a Kleenex. I think so far that has been one of the biggest and most memorable moments of me being proud of her achievement thus far.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
My daughter is making me proud because she has a disability called selective mutism.
Hmm.
She doesn't speak in public. It's just social anxiety.
Gotcha.
But when she's in school, she doesn't speak at all. But something happens. She's gonna write a note to the teacher. This happens.
Right. Okay.
It makes
Okay.
me proud that, even though she's afraid to talk, she still find a way to voice
Exactly.
thoughts and her minds, and instead of keeping it bottled in, and it starts to develop later
Right.
on into something else. But that's awesome. Let me ask you, how do you balance being a nurturer and provider without feeling overwhelmed?
Balance. Oh wow. Well, first of all, I make sure she's my priority. You know,
Mhm.
I take the time to evaluate what's the priority needs for her. You know what I mean? And then I go into one thing somebody told me years ago is when you're a parent, an awesome parent by nature, there's a sacrifice of your life that you put on hold.
Mhm.
And I understood that, and my balance is, I take my needs versus my wants. I need her to be a respectable citizen of society, a young lady that makes it,
Mhm.
versus any wants that I have. But fortunately for me, since I have a cigar business I've had since 2015, and I do my catering business, and and my 9 to 5 I work. I have limited time for social stuff, which is a good thing. And what I did with my balance is I incorporated her in certain things. Of course, she's not incorporated in my cigar business, but my catering business, she is like my CEO. She runs it. She does the spreadsheet. I keep her involved. You know what I mean? Even the things she has in life, I keep her involved. I take the moments that like to empower her, like the camp she goes to. She goes to kind of a Christian camp. It's funny because this camp has been around since I was a kid, and I send her, and it's a 2 week spend the night camp. During those times is when I take the time to, if I need a refresher, I do it then. I'll go to the
Mhm.
gym early in the morning. That's my refresher. Cooking is my relaxation, my refresher. So you have to find ways. It's not always easy. You have to find a niche to say, okay, what can I do um, to balance this out? Because what I won't do is let her down. I will let myself down. I will let the business fall for a minute. I will shut the business down for a minute as long as she's 110%. But
Mhm.
because I want it all to thrive and she's a willing participant, it's like being cohesive with each other. It's daddy and daughter, but we're also a team. So she helps me be able to balance. I'll come in from work and I'll get to cooking because orders are done. She'll send me in and say, Dad, why don't you sit down for a minute?
Mhm.
And I'll say something like, well, you know me, I like to work first and sit down. She said, yeah, I understand. But sit down. And it's like it's not an argument. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So she's very instrumental in my balancing. So yeah.
Yeah, mine's wait until I'm stressed out. She says, "Oh, she's stressed."
Well, un- unfortunately for me, I am diagnosed with anxiety and PTSD, so I know it all too well. But I'm the type. It's almost like a medication. Whatever these doctors and stuff tell you need to do, you have to pay attention to it. You know what I mean? Um, it's like being sick. They give you 60 pills. You take 4, you feel better. You stop taking it. When you're dealing with these kind of things, it's best to do exactly what you're instructed to do because, like you said, being stressed, having anxiety, this, that, and the other, it can do damage not only to yourself but other people. So I take it as the fact that when she sees or when she tells me to sit down, there's a reason she's telling me to sit down. And even my
Mhm.
dog, he's an Army service dog. He's a 140-pound Presa Canario, but he started off as an emotional support dog. There's times he will come and he's just like, touch me, touch me, touch me. And I had to realize he's sensing something in me that probably I don't realize. Maybe I'm stressed and don't know it, or maybe I'm getting too wound up about something or trying to do too much. And he has his way of blocking me. If I'm gonna walk, he's gonna come and get right in front of horizontally in front of me in the hallway. And you
Mhm.
can't step over him because he's huge. And I had
Mhm.
to start realizing, you know what? Hey, slow down.
I need one of those dogs.
As a matter of fact, my daughter told me, I'm gonna close the door for the basement because he come down here, he'll come prop up right here, right now. So I said, yes, come upstairs.
Fine. He's welcome. How do you budget and manage finances as a single parent? So I know you said you're basically doing it yourself.
Yeah, yeah. First and foremost, I have her on. I got her own two accounts through my account.
Mhm.
Um, there are allowances she gets, and then there's a percentage of money she gets from the catering business. Fortunately for us, I cook, so that limits going out spending frivolous money.
Mhm.
Um, People tell me all the time that I'm very blessed with the type of daughter. I guess it's more with girls do it than boys who never just says she wants and wants and wants and wants and wants. I have to say, okay, baby, let's go and buy you some clothes. Let's go to the shop for you, get you some clothes. She'll wham and wham and wear. So with that, I took the things that I was probably spending on before she stayed with me
Mhm.
and incorporated it into a savings plan. I also print out, we did it this year, I print out a yearly savings thing that anybody can get off of Google. So where she puts amount of money away every week, and so do I. So I have her kind of going in the same direction to where we have a checkings, a savings. We have a budget, an account for our business, but in the house, in our own prospective areas, we have another savings that we just have. I show her the growth in 12 months.
Mhm.
She's grasped it to where, at the beginning, it's like if I saved up 300, I want to go buy this item that's 275.
Mhm.
Okay. Now it's one of those things like, okay, she has $1,000 in her account. She only wants to buy this thing that costs $25. I'm like,
Mhm.
you're thinking. So like I said, getting her in the midst of monies, supplying her with monies, it helps my budget as well. Because like I said, I don't spend frivolously. I never did, but that I don't know. I'm a collector of fine liquors. I mean, I drink them all, but instead of doing that, now we have this family budget. We want to go on vacations. You know what I mean? We want to.
Yeah.
I mean, but for goodness sake, she has a car that's in the garage already.
Mhm.
And so we're servicing that. We're getting that taken care of. So I'll just start putting monies away. And then, of course, if I'm the only sole proprietor doing it, I got to think rationally. You know what I mean? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
no other money is coming in. You know what I mean? So I got to ensure that she's ready, saving for college, all this kind of stuff. So it's about just pushing back from the table and saying, let me evaluate my needs versus my wants and
Mhm.
hers as well. And then we collectively come up with some kind of things, having my 401ks, not touching my TSPs, certain things. I'm digging deeper into investments to keep my budget right, as smooth as it can be.
Right. I was gonna ask you something. She's 15, right?
Right.
Um, are you teaching her how to drive?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
How is that going?
It's funny. It's going slow. And the reason being is I tell her, you kids now don't want to drive. I got on parents' nerves when I was 15 years old trying to get my driver's license, learner's license rather. I said, but you guys now got Uber, Lyft, yada, yada, yada. But I always tell her, I give her the same thing my grandmother gave me is going places. Sometimes you want to leave when you want to leave. You want to go when you want to go. And it's always good to know. And her biggest thing is fear. So we have a golf cart. The neighborhood I stay in, we have a golf cart, a little crazy little steering wheel on it. We even got a sound system on it. So what I started doing was letting her drive me around the neighborhood. She
Mhm.
gets me with brakes, gas, steering, blinkers, and such. And
Mhm.
even when I took her to get a learner's, I said, hey, we're gonna make a plan, we're gonna go get your learner's license, yada yada yada. And I'm telling her this from work. Go on the internet, look up learner's driver's license training and study it. And we went one Saturday and she passed it. So it's like her, I'm like I said, to me, she was a little bit behind on growth because she was, being sheltered. But now that freedom and she wants it now. So when she gets in the car, I don't have to be like other parents were back in the day. Stop, stop, stop. If anything, I have to tell her, mash a little bit more gas, baby. So she's extra cautious, which thank God, because I don't want her to punch out and have me scared. But so it's going, and I do it at her pace. I'm not forcing you, when she said, okay, Dad, I'm good for the day, fine. I'm not gonna put pressure on you. I want you to be comfortable.
Yeah, you're right. These days, as kids, mine too, they don't want to drive. I think it's just recently they just kind of like showing interest, but me, I've been driving since young. And
Yes.
I think because for me too, my dad is a professional driver. He does drag racing. So
Okay.
we all and he had cars, like he used to buy and sell cars.
Hmm.
He had a rent a car. So we always had lots of cars, and he would say, "Hey, come." And I would sit in his lap and, we drive. And back home too, back in those days, you could be on a back road and I'm sitting in his lap driving. I
Yes.
can't do that these days, but,
No. Yeah.
it,
Steering while he does the pedals.
it's different. And it's like, I put my 50-year-old in front of the driving wheel, and she's like, so scared.
Yeah.
Everything goes off, the blinker, the wiper, the indicator, like confused, don't know what to do, gas brake, stop.
Yes. Immediate stop, right.
It's this different. What advice would you give a single parent trying to save or invest for their child's future?
One of the advices I would give is, like I said, sit down and separate your needs from your wants. See where the money you're spending that you don't need to spend, that you can start to save it. You know what I mean? Of course, self care is important. I'm not going to knock all of that, but I don't know. I like to think, I like tend to think I'm a frivolous spender. But what I do is spend my money on is I like nice watches and I like nice colognes.
Mhm.
But I can limit those now. Of course, before this, hey, let me get this, let me get this. So I started just narrowing down the frivolous spending. I sit down, I wrote everything down. I'm a writer. I write everything down. I made this list, all this stuff. Then I start separating columns, like, needed, not needed, priority, not a priority, versus wish list, goals. And I was able to take some of those things that I just had, like, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get this, and put it on something over here, like third on the list. Like, get this after you save up for it after, I don't know, 6 paychecks.
Mhm.
Take a segment of your money, take a percentage of your check, pay yourself. That's
Mhm.
what pay yourself. A job pays you, but do you pay yourself? You
Mhm.
know, and whenever you pay yourself, that's part of your savings. And what you pay yourself may not be the portion that you save.
Mhm.
And somebody taught a young lady taught me that entrepreneur that was working a government job, and then she had her bartending business. And she asked me one day, she said, "Do you pay yourself?" I'm thinking, yeah, like, no. You take money in from your businesses, now you got an account, but do you actually pay yourself? When I
Mhm.
thought about this, I guess I don't. And when I start to do that, I take that at the end of however whatever term, and I take that and I put it to the savings as well as what I'm saving. And I can say that I have been amazed within the last 3 years on what that does as far as stacking your money.
Mhm.
Look at the balance, and I'm looking like, wow. And to include, like I said, I make it, and it's fun. Like I said, I print off savings for me and a savings for her, and ours is different. Put more money in mine, and hers is a little less expensive to do. Like the one I'm doing now, I'm supposed to have $5,000 by December.
Mhm.
It's just something extra. And now that's an extra 5,000 that you're not really thinking about that you can apply to the stuff you saved as far as your budget is concerned.
Mhm.
I.e., that can go to, I don't know, paying off a car sooner, paying your house down, whatever bills you have. And of course, once you knock those down, now guess what? You have more income coming because you got less coming out. And you're
Mhm.
building more as far as their future, your future, whatever the case may be. So just definitely my advice is to just really look at that and be honest with yourself about what is needed and what's not needed.
That's an awesome advice. So I wanted to ask you, so parenting is hard. single parenting is it's a different kind of hard.
It
Who
is.
has been your biggest support system and how have they helped?
Um, I'm going to put it on my church first.
Mm-hmm.
The program with Empower Her second, and the people that I keep in my immediate circle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they have been, you probably heard it too. It takes a village.
Mm-hmm.
The village is a little different in 2025 now, but well, it's a lot different. But it's a lot
Yeah.
of people in it. But you do have some quality people, like the elders at the church I go to. Like my daughter got baptized December 28th. It was a Saturday. And since we go to church on Sunday, we have some elders that see us and they have our numbers. And they end up texting me like first church service of January, like, hey, we ain't seen you in the new year, yada, yada, yada. So I let them know when we went 28th on in December, which was Saturday, and see us. And the biggest thing with them was like, oh, why? Oh, we would have come to the baptism. So they show support. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that I'm a guy, I tell my daughter all the time, your dad can only mention the things that he sees it takes to be a woman, but I don't have that. I don't have that. I'm a guy. So I always let her know I'm doing the best I can. But there are older women, mom, like to empower her women that come in and fill that void.
Mm-hmm.
And she listens. So they are that those three, that church, that empower her, and the immediate circle,
Right.
support us. Yes.
That's awesome. My favorite question, something I'm trying to balance and trying to take care of.
What this is.
How do you make time for self-care and why is it important for single parents? What's your thoughts on that?
Whew. I'm gonna start with saying why it's important. I mean, like I said, the fact that I was told a while ago, okay, you have anxiety, you have this, you have that. I realized a while ago, fortunately, that self care is important. Period. For you, parent or not, for you is very important. So now add the equation of having a child. Your energy and your aura can be seen whether you know it or not. And if you're not in the right mindset, you don't have the right kind of, I don't know, vibe going, that can cause, I don't know, snapping on your child, all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
So it's important, period. Now, as far as how do I do it? Like I said, with my daughter, I include her sometime. We'll go get manis and petties together, you
Oh,
know.
nice.
Yeah, we go together. I sit up in there, we laugh, we joke, because I'm like, yeah, once again, I'm silly. So I'll say to like, yeah, only guy him with his feet in the water while she'd sit next to me. But we know it's just a joke, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I found a place, well, since I'm a guy, I found a place called Hammer and Nails. It's so funny that it's an all male grooming deal that's run by women. They cut
Mhm.
your hair, they give you a facial, there's a bar there, they do your manis, they do your petties, and
Mhm.
and every now and then I'll go there. I go out and get on the golf course, cooking is my therapy. So I find those things that alleviate stress for
Mhm.
me. And I focus in on that, and I make them a priority when I have the time.
Mhm.
Uh, and my advice to anybody is don't run to the bottom. Don't run straight to the bottle with your stress or that's not self-care. You know what I mean? That's a
Oh,
temporary fix. You know what I'm saying? That's a cover up.
it's a bad habit, actually.
Exactly. Because it's very addicting. But find something that you can do that brings you pleasure, that lowers your anxiety, that gives you a sense of accomplishment, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And your kids will pick up on it. Like she'll say something like, Dad, you went golf? I'm like, yeah, and you enjoy it, and they start she converses about it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To the point that she's going out with the golf course before, you know. So you have to make time. It's very important to make time for self-care. Like I say, if you're solo with kids, I don't care if you're married, you can't love anybody right unless you love yourself. I'm gonna say that.
And you can't pour from an empty cup either.
Oh no, you can't. No, you can't.
Yeah. What strategies do you use to manage stress or burnout? For me, I take a walk. This year, I'm exercising my PTOs um earlier this year, I took a selfie vacation. So I tell people all the time, I don't care if you're a single parent, co-parent, whatever you're doing, married, have no parent, no, not married, whatever it is, selfie vacation is something else. It's
Yeah.
you get to think, you get to be in tune with what's going on in your head.
Yes. Yes.
Because you don't have that pressure or expectation of waking up early because you have to make breakfast for the kids or dinner or drop to schools,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. It's that moment like you're by yourself and you can think and hear your thoughts. You can do what you want to do.
Yes.
Tell me how do you manage stress or burnout?
Um, Once again, I'm gonna throw my cooking on there. I can come in this
I
house.
don't know how cooking alleviates your anxiety because, well, at least for me, I have to be in the mood to cook.
Uh-huh. Well, for me, it's I'll come in mad and then I'll make a recipe. I'll mix sauces. I'll come in there and just do things people haven't done. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like recently, it was funny. I made some cornbread, right? And I was like, but I had also made collard greens. So I'm just in there and I'm like, why not? I took a chunk of collard greens, cut them up finely on my cutting board, threw them in my cornbread mix, and made the cornbread.
Mm-hmm.
And so things like that, a lot of people they look at me because they say, you must love to cook. I said, it does two things for me, like I said, it's therapeutic for me. That's a gift my grandmother gave me, you know what I'm saying? So I think about her when I'm doing it too. And that definitely alleviates stress. Like you, I'll sit down and I'll write, I'll write my thoughts, which sometimes turn into poems. Um,
So is
uh,
that journaling or is just writing for poetry?
I do a little journaling, but more poetry.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be my actual thoughts and feelings that I just turn into a title, and make it sound like it's something I'm just writing versus the fact of, okay, this is dealing with feelings. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's a stressor. Like you said, vacationing. I went to my first what do you call it? Adult resort on my birthday in Jamaica. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting around, and after a while, after they're being there, I remember people laughed at me because I said, I
You
don't
don't
know.
have to act, right?
Right. I don't hear any kids. I don't hear any laughing, no splashing, no running, no crying, no nothing. And I was able to detach physically 100%, mentally about 75. I'm gonna think about it, but I don't have to put that. I mean, I know she was taken care of, but like you said, then I get back in tune with myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, where Felix, how are you? Same thing as I ask myself, how are you? And you're gonna do one or two things. You're gonna be honest with yourself. You're gonna lie to yourself.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, I'm okay, I'm good, I'm great, I'm not good. Whatever the answer is, especially if it's like I'm okay and I'm not good. Okay, now you key in on things, so it makes it easy to resolve those things. See what you need more of, to
Mm-hmm.
get back whole. Because you not only get back whole for yourself, you get back whole for that little one or a couple of little ones you have at home. So, like
Mm-hmm.
I said, definitely that. Same thing. I'll walk the dog, and we just walk. Me, I'm a cigar connoisseur. So I'll walk him around the neighborhood while I'm smoking a cigar. He's trained, so I don't even have him on a leash. He's trained army dog, guard dog, this and the other, and I don't have to worry about him chasing anybody or chasing the dog that's walking up the street on the side of us. He'll look and I just get my thoughts together. I love music. I still love the nostalgic sound of a record player. So I'm a record player. I go buy records all the time. And just to hear that first little as it starts, it eases my mind. Burn a lot of incense. I use sage. Those
Mm-hmm.
things work.
Good. You said sage?
Yeah.
Okay. I actually just burned some in my house.
Yes. Yes. If you
You
haven't,
have the white one. I bought the red one, but I used it like once or so.
okay. So you got the red with the dragon's blood.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to tell you. I got the white boy, that dragon's blood, and I just walk the entire perimeter of my inside of my home, and it's a common effect, you know what I mean? Just
That's
a
different smell.
yes, it is.
Yeah. How do you stay motivated and positive on tough days? Because we work in the hospital and it's stressful. and then you have to go home and be a single parent, and then you have two businesses. How do you, because not every day is a bed of roses.
Right.
So how do you stay positive?
Well, one thing is, and this is for me, I don't know people's religious preference or whatever, but I pray.
Mhm.
One thing at 6:45 in the morning, as I'm sitting at my desk phone is gonna ring. It's gonna be my daughter. That's the time she's gonna call me. We're gonna say a prayer together. Mind you, I've already prayed when I'm at the gym about 2:33 in the morning. And that's one I'm saying on my way. And then when I leave to head to work, there's another one because I'm still traveling. So still something as I say. 6:45, she's gonna call me for one, and there's a prayer that we do at night. That's the first thing I do as I pray. And I always ask the Lord to save me from myself. He can save me from everything. And some people don't realize.
That one is good.
Yes, save me from myself. And people don't realize that, you know what I mean? And I ask that, and I don't. I'm not perfect. I have those days, but I think with that, I'm able to grab hold of myself before I go off the deep end. Like
Yeah.
you said, working in the hospital, working with certain people in the hospital. you know, um, but I just always find a way to try to smile. I remember a guy in the military. He had been smoking for years. He said cigarettes. And what he decided to do to stop smoking was, I don't know, people have the box, the clear film was over the box. And he
Mm.
took a little wallet-sized picture and he said, "This children's picture in it." I said, "Why you do that?" He said, "Because every time I pick up this box of smoke, I see them now, and it makes me put it down." I said, "Ah." He
Mm.
found a hack for him with the
Mm.
cigarettes to say, and he looked at them. He could be, and he put it on both
That's
sides.
why.
You
Yeah.
see? So it's like finding your niche. What is it that I can think about? What is it I need to see? What do I need to hear that aids me from not crashing down and burning out?
What was it that you said when you prayed to?
Save me from myself.
Yeah, that's almost like I tell people sometimes, stay out of your own way.
Yes. Quit tripping yourself up. Because
Yeah,
most people are gonna blame it on something else, something or somebody else. But it's like,
yeah.
no, it was you, you know. So yes, that's always in it, always in it. I will pray for everything, the nation, demonic spirits and the other, but now I ended with saying, but most of all, save me from myself.
Yeah, do you think being a single parent changed you, like shaped you into a better person,
Oh,
a better man, a better dad?
yes,
Yeah.
no doubt, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm a dad. I'm a dad. It was impossible for me to keep the same mindset on certain things if we're going to raise her the right way, you know.
Right.
And in essence, it probably slowed me down. You get what I'm saying? Um, and by slowing me down, I'm pretty sure I avoided a lot of situations that weren't meant for me to be in. But had I chose it, once again, not being saved from myself, then I don't know, this is the issue, that is the issue, this is the issue. But since then, it's like I don't have those. And I tell her all the time. I said, you've helped shape me. You helped keep me grounded, and I told my daughter you saved me. Told her that. And I always tell her thank you. What else thank me for? Thank you for being you. And I get deep with it when she asks me, "What do you mean?" Well, this is what I mean. So
All right, let me ask you this question because not even single parents, I have friends that, and I hear people as well, they're probably married, have kids, they're probably a single parent co-parenting.
uh-huh.
A lot of them have goals that they want to accomplish, but they make the excuse, oh, I'm a single parent, or I have kids, the kids this, the kids that. No, you have a job, and you have the catering and the, you said, cigar company.
Yes.
How do you balance that? Like, what are your goals currently that you're working on towards? And how do you balance that with parenting? Because a lot of people, they don't know how to balance,
Right.
and they make all these excuses why,
Right.
they're not getting it done.
Got you. Like I said, first off, is I'm going to put her first, and that's if that means, but where they are, that means my businesses are being second fine. So if I'm going to give her, if I do a pie chart, and she's going to be definitely 50% of it. That's going to be her. Period. Um, I have to divide the rest up to where it matters. So
Mhm.
it's like, okay, with my cigars, I let people know
Mhm.
I'm not available until this time. Sometimes it's a day later, and I get it. If that's something you can't wait for, no harm, no foul, no love lost. Same thing with my catering. I may not be able to take orders today. Why? Because I got to run my daughter where she needs to go. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I don't. At first, I was like, I was kick myself in the tail. Said, okay, you're missing money, missing money. And then I had to ground myself and say, you know what? Was that money that important? Yeah, you want to build. Yeah, you're trying to secure a future, but every dollar is not for you. It's not yours to get. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And if it's meant to be, if you manifest this thing right and you sow the right seeds, trust me, that little money you was going after, it's going to magnify at the end of
Mhm.
the season. And so what I do now is I slow it down. I'll look out like right now versus a building. I'm looking more at a food truck. You get what I'm saying? Um,
Mhm.
and I'm building a little portfolio with a little dream vision board with it to where if it gets to a point to where it can substantiate the things I need to substantiate, well, guess what? It takes me away from the 9 to 5.
Mhm.
So that's more time right there. You get what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I don't I you just have to, like I said, you sacrifice. So I would suggest to a parent is don't complain about it. Don't act like you can't do it. You have to find that niche. I don't know everybody's upbringing, but I'm pretty sure a lot of us, and if we don't know the whole story, our parents did the same thing. My mother
Mhm.
had 2 sons. I'm pretty sure that was something she wanted to do that she probably had to slow down doing because she had 2 boys. Now, at the same time, it's like a parent going back to school, after years. What's stopping you from getting that degree now?
Right.
Can't say I'm too old.
Mhm.
Certain things you can't say. If it's still in if it's still a goal to be reached, reach it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't get rid of it. Just say, you know what? Let me press pause. And that's another key thing. Don't stop. There is a pause button. Just pause it.
Right.
You know.
And I would say too that there is an opportunity cost. Like right now, you may think,
Okay.
okay, like there's somebody that says she's 40. She says, oh, I'm too old to go back to school. And I'm like, well, it's an investment, but there's an opportunity cost. Like it may, you're gonna have to cut back on one of the jobs you're working. She's working 2 jobs,
Right.
so you may lose some money now, but later on you'll be making more money, right?
Exactly. Sacrifice, like I said, sacrificing
Yeah.
a minimum to achieve the
Gotta
maximum.
yeah, you gotta be real with yourself.
Yes, yes.
What's one thing that you wish you had told yourself when you first became a single parent?
One thing I would have told myself, that I wish I would have told myself that it was going to take patience. I don't think I thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said with my daughter, fortunately, she lived a different way without me.
Mm-hmm.
I should tell her, I never said nothing negative, but I said the things you think you enjoy now because mom is a friend than a parent
Yeah.
is going to get old. Trust me. And just as sure as snow is white, that's what happened. And I think in the beginning, my mentality was saying, you should know better versus realizing, be patient because she's coming from a sheltered environment.
Mm-hmm.
What you're saying, she should know she wasn't given the opportunity to grow in that field. So I would
Mm-hmm.
have told myself early on, be patient. And even with the counseling, that aided into that too. Using resilience. Okay, hey,
Right.
talking instead of screaming, taking a time out. You know, but I wish I had told myself in the beginning, be patient. You know, that's the biggest thing.
um, I think, you said something, a friend of mine, he co-parents, and he said when he has his son, he now realizes he has to make it comfortable for him,
Mhm.
because he's used to living by himself. He only
Mhm.
gets the child every other weekend. So it's like I said, being patient, him getting to know him and vice versa and making it comfortable for him. So that's good advice that you would have told yourself.
Yeah,
Interesting question. What are your thoughts on dating as a single parent? For me, I just choose not to because it's just too much. So in my subconscious, I know, yes, I don't want to be alone.
No.
But like at the same time, I just feel I'm not going on no dating apps. I tried that and I deleted it within a day.
Right, right.
And I just always feel I will naturally meet my soulmate.
Got you.
And I feel like as I continue to work on myself, because I'm not perfect, and I said it in my first episode,
Right,
and work on my dreams and my goals, because I'm building a very strong and solid foundation, not just for me, but myself and the generations to come.
right.
I just feel like I will naturally meet that person.
Got you.
But what are your thoughts on dating? Because I know it's different for a man.
Well, I mean, dating, I don't have a problem with if a person does it. My biggest issue is finding somebody that you're equally yoked with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Biggest problem with me with my dating life, on my sharing it is, I tend to hear that I don't have time. And I'm open in the beginning. Hey, I'm raising a 15-year-old daughter, and I'll stress I'm a father. And I'll go deep with it, meaning number one, my religion, my daughter, and then everything else. And I put myself into everything else. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get myself carrying. So I don't want to give you a facade that,
You're fully available.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I express that. Like I said, once again, communication is the key. But even with that, as I don't know, as transparent as I am,
A lack of understanding.
point blank, period. You get that anyway. And then I go into the, well, I told you, yada, yada, yada. So my thing is if dating is available for a person, is ensure you're dealing with a person that understands. Me personally, I would love to date another single parent because I feel like we both would understand. You know what I'm saying? We both
That's true.
yeah, that time we would understand. And when we can go out on a date,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be when the situation on her end is fine, the situation on my end is fine.
Right.
That's one thing. And for me, I remember a young lady told me, as far as my daughter, me and her, we weren't necessarily dating, but she told me, she had made me realize it was 3 years before she met my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She was telling me how privileged, yeah, she said how privileged she felt because what I don't want to do, especially as a guy, and I'm raising a female,
Mm-hmm.
we're not finna see Kim and Tamika and Sarah and no, we're not doing that. We're
Mm-hmm.
not doing that. And people can change their mind. People can be chameleons. So you're all in and you bring them around your daughter and then you find like you got a sheep in wolf's clothing. That's a whole nother conversation in itself, especially if your child or children have invested their feelings into this person. And I take it seriously. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Let me ask you this. I think you said you were married before, right?
I was to a mom.
Would you remarry one and two? Would you have more kids?
I would remarry definitely. I feel like I'm husband material. You know what I mean? And I feel like with the right woman, we're gonna vibe. Kids, me, beginning kids, no. And the only reason I love kids, but I'm at the point in my life where I want me and my mate, my spouse, my girlfriend, whatever we are, I want us to and kids. She got kids, I got kids. Let's go enjoy stuff.
Enjoy life. Yeah,
When
make
when, when my daughter was born, I'm the father that because when her mom and I were married, I'm the father that mom was like, hey, let's go such and such such. What we doing with her? Oh, she gonna stay with such such.
mm-hmm.
Nah, I wanted her with me.
Mm-hmm.
I was that father. I'm not the father. Okay, yeah, that girl, I'm gonna keep her. I'm the father that want my baby with me.
But then what if you met somebody that you really love and you really care for and she wants a child? Maybe she has or she don't have a child. Would you
I
consider it?
That's part of my conversation with dating. I will put out there that this is not where I am.
Okay. So
I
you're
actually
at point blank not having no more picnic.
I
No
just
more
don't.
kids.
I just, I mean, I have a joke what I said. I tell people all the time, I don't never want to go to my kids elementary school. Somebody said, "Whose grandfather is that?" So
I
no.
don't care about those things. So
So, but I'm very open with that in my communication. That's the old fact to me. Like I said, people will tell you, people that know me, I'll say he would drive the word communication in the ground. I'm very transparent. I'll ask those questions to a young lady. Like, if we're going somewhere, like, hey, do you want more kids? Say, yeah. And I'll say, well, I personally, yada yada, and I tell why. And I actually, a perfect example, the question you asked me, there was a young lady that met her was good, good, good. Because she wanted a child.
mhm.
And at the same time, this is when I first retired from the Army. I never knew that I would get another job. So here I'm coming off 30 years in the military. No, I'm not ready to just have a baby. All I've known since high school was military, military, military.
Mhm.
So that was a time for me to finally go, I couldn't
Yeah.
commit.
Were you fully active in the military?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I have a friend, I think he was the first one I interviewed. I haven't posted it yet. Um, he was in, I think it was 25 years. And it's same thing for him. Like he was fully active and he's retired. He doesn't work a job or anything. He just focuses on his passion.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So like I said, the beauty of having a child, oh, amazing. The beauty of having a child with the right one, amazing. But like I said, I look at those details. I didn't have that. My
Yeah.
mom couldn't afford to take us on vacations. You know what I'm saying? Basically, my grandmother raised me. My mom raised my younger brother. So there's some things in my past that I deal with, or like to say, I'm gonna do like the alcoholic says I'm still dealing with. You're never over this stuff that I refuse to do. You know what I mean? And I want to give my child and my partner the most attention that I can. You know what I mean? And I want us to. That's
Right.
that's what that's where I'm at in life. Hey, this will be the first spring break I've ever taken with my daughter. Period.
Mhm.
This
Mhm.
coming March, I've never been able to do it, and I'm doing just like everybody else do. I'm taking the week, and I'm more excited about it than she is. I don't know if we're gonna go to the cabins in Tennessee, or we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
A passport should be coming back. I want to take her to Cuba, like I'm going to Cuba, because I had to wait till I was in the military to see Korea, Germany, Egypt, this, that, and the other. I want her to see these things young. You know,
And even so, because even I know people who travel, and even the friend that was in the military, he's traveled all over. And it's like, even though you traveled all over, it was work. You never really got to enjoy the
didn't
place
enjoy.
that you went to. You just
Yes,
kind of like see it and whatever, but you never really got to enjoy.
yes. You think you did on the little downtime you had when you was over there, but
Yeah.
that's
Wasn't
hours.
enough.
You did
Mm-mm.
no. So
What advice would you give someone who recently became a single parent?
be patient. Be patient. Like you said, immediately find you some de-stressors because it's gonna bring a little stress. So
Mhm.
immediately have you some things in place to distress, because what you don't want to do is build a wedge between you and the kids because of something you're dealing with, and you're just spreading it to everybody. Same thing I would suggest if a person's married. Deal with this stuff. Don't take it home to your wife, or don't take it home to your husband. So be patient, find some distressors. Please, please, please communicate with your kids. When I
Mhm.
mean communicate is talk, don't yell. There's a time to raise your voice for a point, and there's a time to talk. And most of all, listen.
Mhm.
I don't. My kid is 10. She can't tell me. She's not telling you anything. She's expressing her feelings. Listen, because you're gonna have to interpret what that meaning is and what she's saying. She can't
Mhm.
tell you the adult meaning, but she's gonna give you some words that make you realize, okay, boom. You know, uh, let's not do the big eyes and little U's. Let's not do the I'm the authoritarian, this, that, and the other. Be
Mhm.
the parent, be the caregiver. People used to tell me a long time ago, as far as a daughter, they like to say that the father is the first date that the daughter goes on. I open doors for my daughter. A woman can be walking behind me going into a store myself. I
Mhm.
hold the door open. That's just how I was raised. And I tell my
Yeah.
daughter, you shouldn't accept any less. Don't let this I don't know, the new generation thing make you feel like you should be treated like a lady. That's just respect. That's not
Right.
what they call it, being thirsty and all. It's not none of that. That's respect because when you get older and up in age,
They
you
have to take, that's true. What
yeah.
legacy or impact do you want to leave for your daughter?
My legacy is I want to leave her the skills that I have. And like I said, the cooking, which she is diving in totally. I want her to have, she tends to see what I do. I do stuff low key. I don't like attention. I don't like attaboys, but I've been doing this for years to where I will save up a little bit of money and
Mhm.
make food, make sandwiches, fill my vehicle up. Like sometimes with bag lunches to where only where I can sit is in the driver's seat. I will go on the underpass of the freeways, parks, and give them out. So I try to put my little imprint on society without being known. I
Mhm.
do that to her. Just I want her to live her life the right way. You get what I'm saying? Know that nobody's perfect. You're not gonna be perfect. Make your mistakes. Face your stuff head on. You know what I mean? And just like I said, embrace it. Love your life. My motto is on my emails: live, love, and laugh. You get what I'm saying? It's like that's key. That's key. You can't take $1 billion with you if you made it.
Right.
So just live, love, and laugh, man. Be happy.
Amazing. So we're at the end of the interview, but I have two fun questions.
Yeah.
I never told you you were gonna get these questions, but they're fun questions. If I was a genie and I asked you where would you want to be right now, where would that place be?
Well, we'll be right now
Yeah. If
on
you
the
could
beach.
be anywhere in the world,
I would like to be in Belize.
Belize.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. It's nice. I just heard there's a lot of snakes.
Well, I don't have to be in that part. And not everywhere.
Snakes, I what you call it, anaconda or whatever. Those
Yeah,
really big ones.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
No.
don't have to be out in that area. I just want the beauty of it, and just I can just get like when I went to Cuba, I stayed on the tourist side. I mean, I didn't go to the tourist side, so I didn't have to worry about hustlers, this, that, and the other. I stayed on the side where, I mean, it's a poor country, but they're so humble and so
Mm.
passionate about making you feel good. I could do that. That's why I want to take her back there. I want to take her there just for like a couple of days and just look at the nostalgia buildings. I love rest and relaxation. I'm a peaceful person. I love to laugh. That's my motto. I love to live, laugh, and love. That's it. You can do that for me. I'm all right. So anywhere that it's serene, hell, I would go to Colorado in the snow just to visit. You know,
Okay,
yeah.
amazing. All right, so the next question is I'm giving you the opportunity to ask me one question. I asked you a million questions. I'm giving you the opportunity to ask me one question.
Why are you single?
Me? Because by choice.
Okay,
Yeah, by choice.
gotcha.
And I think that being single for so long, I was in a relationship for almost 4 years,
Okay,
but it's like being single prior to that and even during that time, I kind of realized, because sometimes you don't really know exactly what you want,
okay,
but that time period kind of made me realize what I wanted in somebody.
got you.
And so, you know how you say when you try the dating, you lay everything out.
Yeah,
So yeah, so for me, it's like when I'm getting to know somebody, it's like I know exactly what I want.
right.
No, but if when I'm getting to know somebody and my expectations or my list is not being checked, it's
Okay.
like nah.
But I respect that though, because you're not wasting your time.
Yeah, and so that's the reason why me and like dating apps and those things don't work because I'm going on to go meet some random person and then it's like for me to pick up myself to go to the movies or go to the dinner, or lunch or whatever it is, it's like that's a 2, 3 hour, 4 hour away, right?
Right.
I don't know. That's time I'm investing into something that I don't know if there's a return.
Right.
Right. So for me to do that, like I have to have a good energy with that person, a vibe, a chemistry to get to that point.
Yeah.
I'm even at the point where you ain't even getting my phone number.
Right.
you know,
Totally
it's not
understand.
even
No.
worth a text message, right?
Right.
So, but that's just me, like it's by choice. Because yeah, I mean, different types, shapes, heights, religion,
Exactly.
ethnicity, race. And it's just like I have to have that good energy and chemistry with that person, or else I'm just gonna stay single.
And that's what I tell people. That's perfect. I respect
Because
that.
you know why? I'd rather be single and happy than being in a relationship and unhappy. And I've been there. I was married for almost 10 years, and it's like I know what it's like to be married and unhappy. So
Mine was
I
fine.
value my joy and my happiness by myself,
Right.
and it's not worth
I
anything
get it.
else.
I get it.
Yeah.
That was mine. 5 years and try to make it work. Trying to make it work on my end. And I was like, you know what? I'm all right, man. Finally, so I get it. I get it.
Yeah. But thank you, Felix,
No
for
problem.
coming on and being vulnerable and just being open and sharing your experience,
My pleasure.
sharing, advice to other parents, because I think when we became single parent, it was like, what?
Yeah. Like,
There was no book, no guide, nobody to help, nobody, nothing, and that's why I created this space so that, it's a support and uplift, empower, and, just share our journey with others because they
yes.
may not be experiencing it now, but maybe later on they experience it and they're like, you know what, I listened to that podcast and I'm going to try what that person had said.
Well,
But
I salute you for doing this. When you sent this to me, I'm like, whoa, she's doing a part on single parent. So I sent you that little snippet I saw, just the
yeah,
random question on the parent. So yeah, thank you. I trust me. I could have watched this podcast at the beginning of me being a single parent.
yeah.
I applaud you doing it, making yourself um, a valuable resource for anybody that's dealing with it or eventually deal with it. So salute to you.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you for
I
having me.
enjoyed this.
Yes.
All right. Enjoy your day.
You too now.
All right. Thanks.